Lee Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Labour lot over there are banging on about playing politics with this important issue. But the last time I attended a debate on child rape gangs, there was just one Labour backbencher turned up. They should hang their heads in shame. But will the Home Secretary agree with me that we need a specific inquiry into why young British white girls are being systematically raped by men of Pakistani heritage?
Secretary.
After the Rotherham inquiry in 2014, when we saw the appalling abuse, including by a Pakistani heritage gang in that case, I called for the duty to report. I called for the law to be changed so that it was a responsibility on public servants to report child abuse and that it would be an offence to cover up child abuse. The government that he was part of for many years failed to bring that duty to report in. They failed to do so, and we have lost a decade. We have to change the law. We have to make sure that we go after abuse without fear or favour wherever it is found, in order to get justice for victims, protection for victims, and make sure that dangerous perpetrators end up behind bars.
Anna Dixon.
The exchange between Lee Anderson and Yvette Cooper highlights a damning indictment of the Home Office's repeated failures to address the systemic issue of child grooming gangs and protect vulnerable victims. Anderson's pointed remarks underscore the moral bankruptcy of playing politics with such a sensitive issue, calling out the glaring absence of Labour absence in previous debates. However, while Anderson calls for a specific inquiry into the appalling crimes committed predominantly by men of Pakistani heritage against young British white girls, the focus shifts to a broader critique of the Home Office's historical incompetence and inaction. Yvette Cooper's response underscores the magnitude of this failure, revealing that, after the 2014 Rotherham inquiry, critical recommendations were simply ignored. Despite the exposure of horrifying abuse and systematic failures in Rotherham and other towns, the government, including the Home Office, failed to implement the crucial duty to report law, a basic step to ensure accountability among public servants and to criminalize covering up child abuse. This decade of inaction is not just a bureaucratic oversight. It represents a gross dereliction of duty, leaving countless children unprotected and emboldening perpetrators to continue their heinous crimes without fear of consequences. The Home Office's inability to act decisively reflects a broader pattern of systemic neglect and political cowardice. Rather than taking bold steps to tackle this issue head-on, successive governments have allowed cultural sensitivities, fear of backlash, and bureaucratic inertia to take precedence over the safety and dignity of the most vulnerable members of society. This unwillingness to confront uncomfortable truths has not only perpetuated abuse, but also eroded public trust in the institutions meant to safeguard justice. Moreover, the Home Office's failure to address these systemic shortcomings undermines the very foundations of justice and equality. How can a government claim to uphold the rule of law when it allows entire communities to be failed by the very systems designed to protect them? This negligence has created a two-tier justice system where the pursuit of fearless justice is mere lip service, leaving victims to bear the brunt of institutional apathy and political posturing. If the Home Office had taken decisive action after the Rotherham inquiry, countless lives could have been spared the trauma of abuse. Yet, here we are, over a decade later, still debating the need for inquiries and reforms that should have been implemented long ago. The inaction of the Home Office is not just a failure. It is a betrayal of the public trust and an insult to the victims who have suffered in silence for far too long. This is not mere incompetence. It is negligence on a catastrophic scale, and those responsible must be held accountable.
The 5 Reform MPs have been trying like crazy to find out what are arrest rates for foreign nationals compared to arrest rates for resident Brits. How do the numbers work? Well, finally, we've got some answers. We didn't get them, but the Centre for Migration Control did. And the figures are stark. 17.5 times more likely to be arrested for crime in this country if you come from Albania. 9 times more likely to be arrested for a crime in this country if you've come from Afghanistan, and there are other countries here too, Iraq, Algeria, you name it. The truth of it is, because of the open borders policy that had been run, not just for the last 14 years under the Conservatives, but Labour before that, we are allowing criminals to freely come into Britain. Whether they come legally or illegally, frankly, is not the point. And I think at some point, these statistics need to come under the full microscope of the electorate. Why would we let people come and live in our country that make the place a less safe place to live? On sexual crimes alone, you are 3.5 times more likely to be arrested for a sexual offence if you come from outside the United Kingdom. And frankly, in the light of what's happened over the course of the last couple of weeks with a big debate on the rape gangs that have been operating in over 50 different towns in this country, we've all got a right to be concerned. What do we do about this? Well, frankly, we don't allow people to come illegally from these countries and let them stay. And if people even want a visa to come to Britain, a work visa, for argument's sake, we absolutely need to know what their criminal records are, what their previous histories are from whatever country they come from. And if some people argue, well, that'll make it more difficult to get workers to come into Britain, so be it. You know why? Because the absolutely first principle of government is to protect the country and the people that live within it. I think this is going to become a huge political debate, and it's something from which neither the Labour nor Conservative parties can hide.
Nigel Farage's remarks bring to the forefront a deeply contentious and pressing issue about the impact of immigration policies on public safety in the United Kingdom. His argument revolves around newly revealed statistics from the Centre for Migration Control, which highlight disproportionately high arrest rates among certain foreign nationals compared to resident Brits. These figures, 17.5 times more likely for individuals from Albania, 9 times more likely for those from Afghanistan, paint a stark and alarming picture of the potential consequences of what he terms open borders policies. Farage points to the systemic failures of successive governments, both Conservative and Labour, in controlling the inflow of foreign nationals with criminal backgrounds. He criticizes a political culture that has, over decades, allowed individuals, whether entering legally or illegally, to reside in the UK without sufficient scrutiny. His assertion that whether someone comes legally or illegally is not the point emphasizes the inadequacy of current systems in prioritizing the safety of British citizens. The connection he draws between lax border policies and rising crime rates, particularly sexual offenses, is especially striking. Farage highlights that individuals from outside the UK are 3.5 times more likely to be arrested for sexual crimes, tying these alarming statistics to the ongoing national debate on grooming gangs. The revelation that such gangs have operated in over 50 towns across the country underscores the critical need for stronger immigration controls and criminal vetting processes. Farage's proposed solution is blunt but decisive. No visas or entry permits should be granted to individuals without a comprehensive review of their criminal records and histories. He acknowledges that such measures might complicate the recruitment of foreign workers, but he argues that this trade-off is necessary to uphold the government's primary responsibility, protecting its citizens. By framing this as a matter of principle, he challenges the current prioritization of economic convenience over national security. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or opinions, feel free to share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and join us on Telegram for exclusive content and discussions. Your support means a lot